started.
Spago from Canada, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try e4. I'm going to try and get a bishop's opening if I can. I don't get it. So after e4, what is knight c6? e4, knight c6, what is that? Let's play the bishop's opening anyway. See if he can attack it. It might be, I mean, putting the bishop out here is a bit outrageous, since it's a loose piece, and I'm not making any threats at the moment. But I'm going to develop a knight. I can always go with d6. So he's going with, that's very interesting. He's playing kind of a French defense now. Although he's got the knight on c6. He can play d5 here. Takes, and then I have to reposition the bishop. Or I could play the knight to c3 here and try and counter that. Try and put that off for a bit. It also protects the e4 square. See if he wants to try something else. Now he goes after this. So let's keep developing. Maybe I can play d4 in a move here. Ah, of course, he can now play this move. He can now play the d4 move because he brought a knight out to support d5, rather. He brought a knight out to support it. So I can go for the pin. Yeah, there's no clever checks with the queen or anything. If I move the bishop, which I'm going to move the bishop, he's going to push on with, he can push on with d4, hitting this knight. And this knight doesn't have a lot of good squares. So maybe bishop here is an idea. So after d4, at least I can reroute the knight to e2 and over to g3. I don't think this was an opening success here, but, well, it's a novel way of playing. Interesting way of playing. Maybe not good, but different. Okay, I'm going to break that pin. I'm going to follow up with g4, h3, and then g4 to completely break the pin if he doesn't trade off the knight, because I want to be able to move my knight, the other knight, to e2. And yeah, if I do that with the pin in place, then he's just going to take and mess up my pawn structure on the king side. And I'm still thinking I probably want to castle king side here. So is this awful? He's got a knight tempo on my queen. He always has a check here if he wants to throw it in. Yeah, the knight tempo on the queen, that's probably good. So queen back to e2 now, pins the knight. Makes a bit of a threat. I mean, stops him from taking my bishop immediately and threatens f4, I guess. He can stop that all with queen to e7, or bishop e7 even. Well, no, he has to defend the knight. So queen e7 is the move I would play here. He could also defend with a knight move, but then, yeah, then I would have to play. So if I castle, he takes my bishop, I take. I've got a dark squared bishop here. He's got a dark squared bishop. And he's got his central pawn on a light square. I've got some pressure on the center pawn because I've got two pieces on it. And I have the idea of playing rook to e1. So hopefully that's compensation. I really didn't want to give up this bishop, but is it even safe for him to take my bishop? After I take, there is two threats. One is to go after, well, no, actually I'm not threatening the queen, am I? Because the my back rank is not secure. So rook e1 he can take. Okay, so the other idea maybe is after knight takes, queen, and then taking back. That doesn't look particularly good either. Yeah, so black is probably doing well here. I'm expecting, yeah, knight takes bishop, queen takes bishop. Queen takes knight, rather. And I can't play my rook here because I don't have a back rank. My back rank is not secured. Okay, but he just defended here. It's logical. There are other ideas with the queen move. I think I need to play something like this to get my bishop off the back rank. Then I can move a rook to the center here. Okay, so we got opposite side castling. And, well, maybe I don't have to move this rook. Maybe I can just push on with a4, a5. Knight to b5. Queen here. There are ideas on this position, yeah. And he's not immediately attacking my king. So maybe I just leave these guys here. It just looks funny having these pieces in front of my pawns, as C and D pawn in particular, which are usually thrown forward fairly early in the game. So what do I do after the immediate knight b5? He probably just plays a6. Knight here check, the king attacks it, there's no big deal. Let's just push the pawn here. After I push the pawn up to a5, then I can play knight b5, he plays a6, and I can drop the knight back perhaps to a3, and yeah, this diagonal might be opened. Well, it certainly is opened. Yeah, there's bishop. Maybe bishop or queen to d4, something like that. And he's still quite a few moves away from attacking me on the king side here. So my king is a bit lonely over here, so I do have to be watchful about that. Let's see. Another idea with knight to b5 is to come back after a6. To this square here, knight b5, a6, knight d4. Where does it go from there? I'm not sure. Let's provoke a6 here if we can. I don't know if he really, yeah, maybe he plays a6 right here. Maybe he doesn't want me to play my pawn all the way to a6. So if he plays a6, I can play knight a5 to no, I can't go to c5 because the bishop's guarding it. Well, it's interesting. I mean, he's centralized his rooks. He's got a pawn in the center. Okay, now maybe he's going to attack with maybe he's going to attack with g5. So here's my question. Do I want to play a6 here? a6 takes, rook takes would be great. So probably a6, and he pushes on with b6. And then do I have any way of taking advantage of those weakened light squares? Maybe if I could get a knight to here. Yeah, that seems plausible. So I was thinking knight to b5 to I'm not sure what I was thinking, actually, now that I look at it. So knight b5 to d4 can certainly be played, and I'm looking at that square. But what good does that do? Maybe I need queen to c3. Yeah, so he just expands a little bit there. So after knight to d4, is he going to push on again? Keep pushing those pawns forward. I'm not sure. Let's see, the knight can't go back to b5 though, right? If he goes c5, knight b5, then he can go c4. I take, he takes, I take check and defend the knight. Maybe he can do that. Maybe he can. So I guess knight b5 is a reasonable answer to... Okay, so his knight's hopping in here. Interesting. Ah, that keeps my queen out of the c3 square. If I kick his knight with a pawn, he can... Okay, let's reroute my knight to maybe to e5 here. It's an interesting idea. What's he got? I didn't see any other tactics with his knight, but I might have overlooked something. Maybe he just plays d4 here, but I'll counter with c3 if he plays d4. Ah, he trades the bishops. That's an idea. So if I place the knight here now, he can just take it. Yeah, I don't have enough going on there. And I can't really ignore it. I could defend the bishop. Let's do that. Bit of a risky move. Actually, I pulled another piece away from my king. f7's a bit weaker, so maybe there are tactics here. But I'll just push on with attacks on his king side here. Queen side, where his king is. Yeah, so he's going to double on this file. Maybe if he can get a rook to a rook to e2 would be pretty dangerous. Let's see, if I play c5 here, c4, he takes. I could trade queens and then take back. And I have some ideas of sacrificing here, don't I? Let's try this. I need to do something active. I can't sit around and let him just infiltrate here. Also, with the queens off, I can push the... yeah, so he doesn't let me do that. That's probably a smart idea here. And his knight is not loose, huh? That's what he claims. I can attack the knight. He can support it with a pawn. And if I play my pawn here, he can just take it. Well, let's attack the knight anyway. Let's start with that. Oh, he wants to move the knight. Oh, well, that's a good move, right? I have to move my queen and defend the rook. Well, the rook's defended by the knight. Okay, so not so simple. But I can't move my queen here because a check and I would lose the queen. So where does the queen go? That's the question. And where does his knight? His knight is going to hop into this square next, right? So I have to be careful. Knight to...
check.
Knight to d3 there was a problem. So pawn to d3 and pawn to b4, kicking this knight. Maybe is a plan. Goes after that knight, yeah, after that. So he can double. He can bring more pressure to bear on that knight than I can handle. So if I attack his knight immediately, and he doubles on my knight, I take his knight, he takes with check. I take, he takes, check, I move the king, and he's got a rook there. I have a rook here. Doesn't look good, but I don't see a better move. If I move the knight away, his knight is going to... well, his rook will probably come to e2 there. Let's try kicking the knight. Oh, he can take over here. He can just take over there. Well, that would open up his a file. Maybe I would get some advantage from that. So if he moves the knight, I guess I play knight back to d3, getting it off the back rank and putting it on a useful square there. and maybe his knight is out of the game for a bit. So we'll see what he does. It's amazingly still even material after all this time. Usually, when my games have lasted this long, I'm in big trouble, and I'm struggling to survive. Maybe I am here, as well here, but he hasn't yet won material.
Server announcement.
Yeah, kind of an interesting position. He could play rook e2. No, he still has to deal with the knight. Okay, so he went there with the knight. So yeah, knight d3 was my idea. Is that a good idea? Maybe I should take the chance to play the move d3. It just opens up this line of communication for the rook, connecting it to the f2 square, and my knight can move away if this pawn is not under attack, which it is under attack at the moment. Right away he attacks it. Spotting the flaw here. Okay, what now? Let's develop the knight. My queen is holding on to d3 at the moment too. And let's see, he may have sacrificial ideas against h3 and g2 with his knight, but not at the moment. This knight is not yet under attack. Queen on the f file would probably be good for black, so maybe queen f5 here is probably good, because that would threaten. Knight takes b3 and would also threaten here. Okay, he's lifting his rook. What do I want to do? Taking here. Let's bring the queen over to the center here. I'm going to play rook to rook to e2 if possible. Okay, and he's going to support his knight. I'm just feeling, oh, I can't play that. Oh no. He can just take that. I don't know what I was thinking. Well, after he takes it, I'll resign. I don't have to play the rest of that game out. But he didn't take it. My gosh. My gosh. Okay. So I'll get my queen in, and he's got a queen here. Yeah, this is defended too. So, yeah, my game is really deteriorating. He's got a check here. I'm thinking of going forward with the queen, try and get to his back rank somehow. I don't see any easy way to get there. Queen here, threatening c6 maybe. Well, that was really a terrible mutual blunder. I put the rook here where he could take it, and then he didn't take it. Okay, so let's try and invade. I mean, the one thing I have going for me here is my advanced pawn that I played early in the game takes some squares away from his king and opens up some tactical ideas here for me. So if I can get to the back rank or somewhere near his king, maybe something can happen. I'm also threatening the f7 pawn. So there's a check here.
Check.
Which I could have grabbed a pawn here too, I guess. Yeah, that was what I was thinking. If he just moves his king, then isn't something like this good? Infiltrating near here. Yeah, so he went there. Let's check here, pawn here. Can't take here. So if I go here with the queen, queen takes, pawn takes, king here. Yeah, it stops. He has time to stop me from... Okay, I'm going to threaten knight to Knight to e4.
Black
Maybe that's
forfeits on
good.
time.
Okay, and he just ran out of time. Well, that was an interesting game. I will upload this and do a postmortem, but certainly a game I should have lost. Okay, see you guys later. Bye.